Hey, how's it going everyone? It's Griffin here, and in today's video we'll be speaking about money goals to hit before the age of 30. Now, I'll mention this right off the bat that when it comes to your personal finances, your goals should very much be tailored to you and you only, hence the word, personal finance. So these are going to rather be 5 generalized ideas to, at the very least, have under control before moving out of your 20s. Reason being though, 30 years old is typically an age at which most individuals have at the very least graduated from college and or have quite a few years of work experience under their belt, right? In fact, for most of us, we're looking at probably 5 to even 10 years of personal, professional, as well as financial growth. At the end of the day though, if you're watching this video on my channel, well, it's because you're interested in both personal as well as financial growth. So everything we're going to be covering in today's video can very much be tailored to your current realities. And hey, you're probably further ahead than you even realize compared to most. According to a study done by Bankrate, 57% of millennials don't even have an emergency fund at all, and only 19% have enough savings and investments to cover 6 months worth of expenses. With that said, thanks a lot to Wealthsimple for sponsoring today's video, but more on how they can help you achieve your financial goals later on in the video. Alright, so starting off with goal number 1 here to hit before your 3 decades of age, this is going to consist of gaining back control of your net worth as well as your balance sheet, and this really is critical for long-term financial success, and for most individuals is going to first and foremost consist of eliminating both consumer as well as student debt levels. In fact, according to Statistics Canada, the average student loans taken out per semester have jumped from $3,000 in 1995 to now over $5,500 in 2015, which realistically, considering inflation levels right now, these figures are probably quite a bit higher over the past 7 years. That being said, the same absolutely also holds true down in the United States, with the total value of outstanding student loans now sitting at over $1.75 trillion as of 2021, a high portion of which is held by individuals under the age of 30, which of course is to be expected. Now, when it comes to calculating your net worth though and getting ahead financially, the name of the game is really focusing on increasing your assets, so cash savings, paper assets, real estate, and so forth, while limiting your liabilities, specifically non-working liabilities like debt used to invest with. And while student loans can absolutely help propel you into a higher earning position, which I really hope they did if you have, tens of thousands of dollars worth of student loans, well, the reality is that these are still very much weighing down your personal balance sheet, and this can have high impacts on your credit score as well as your ability to borrow to invest with, which, at 24 years old might not seem like the end of the world, but this can absolutely have longer term crippling impacts on your finances, and by the time you're 30, you should absolutely have a concrete plan to eliminate this debt. In fact, this doesn't only apply to student loans, this applies to any non-productive liability or debt that has an interest rate above roughly 5 to 6% annually. Now, before jumping into goal number 2 here, I wanted to highlight a couple of interesting statistics I found about debt. So in the United States, average personal debt levels have climbed higher than ever to now $38,000, and that is excluding mortgage debt, all right? And Americans are also twice as likely to have accumulated $5,000 to upwards of $25,000 of debts rather than the equivalent in personal savings, right? That's a huge problem that really needs to be addressed. Bottom line, by 30, at the very least, have an actionable plan towards ridding yourself of these debt levels and take concrete steps towards achieving this goal. Moving on to goal 2 before 30, of course, I couldn't leave out something that had to do with increased income, but in this context, I'm actually going to say to try to strive towards generating, at the very least, roughly $75,000 per year. Reason being, making hundreds of thousands of dollars per year can very well be a professional goal that you strive to achieve, and if that is something that you want to hit, then I would say go out and get it. But according to research conducted by Angus Deaton, who's a 2015 Nobel laureate in economics, his research says that the correlation between emotional well-being and income ends up topping out right around $75,000 per year. I mean, look, it's no secret that there is definitely a strong correlation and connection between your level of income as well as your emotional well-being and really just overall life satisfaction. In fact, according to research, people's sense of control over their lives accounted for 74% of the connection between income and experienced well-being, which absolutely makes sense as income ultimately dictates your ability to buy food, pay for shelter, entertainment, and so forth. That being said, let's just make this clear that the $75,000 figure, that was in 2015. So if we take a look at inflation over the past 7 years, that 75K actually accounts for $92,000 in 2022. I speak a lot on my channel about the massive important in your personal finances of focusing on increasing your income as well as increasing your number of income streams, right? Whether or not that be through investing, a side hustle or business, or even a better paying job or just a better position at your current place of employment, right? I'm speaking about big financial wins that will actually be able to move the needle on your personal finances, not cutting back on Starbucks. Ultimately, income diversity is key for long-term financial success. And so even though you may have one really solid and consistent income source, which is fantastic, always look to, push the boundary and envelope to increase your number of income sources. And by 30, after typically 5 to 10 years of work experience under your belt, always try to fine-tune your abundance mindset and look for new ways to increase your income so that you can actually go and achieve the lifestyle that you're after. Money is a lot more of a mindset than people tend to realize. Great, moving into goal number 3 here. Now we're looking at saving and investing. So you're already minded towards paying off your debts as well as increasing your income. Well, now we need to take that income and actually put it to work for us so that we can make more income over time. And that is highly achievable through investing. First and foremost, actually even learning how to invest and getting interested in the concept in the first place is definitely a step in the right direction by the time that you're 30. So if you're interested in learning more about how to actually properly invest in the stock market based on your risk tolerance and needs as an investor, make sure to check out my full stock market investing course that I threw up over on Skillshare. The reason why I did that is so that you can access it completely for free on a 30-day trial. So it has over 50 video lectures going through everything you need to know to properly navigate the market and then craft a portfolio suitable for your needs. That being said, the reason why it's so important to start investing before or by the age of 30 is so that you can take advantage of as many years as possible of compounded investment growth, which can significantly accumulate by the age of retirement. This is a pretty common comparison, but quite simply two separate individuals who start to invest $500 per month, one from the age of 25 versus one from the age of 35 at 7% annual compounded growth. Well, we're looking at $1.2 million for the individual number one by the time that they're 65 years old versus $584,000 for person number two. The only difference there is 10 years of extra compounded growth. I really hope that example made it clear as to why it's so important to start investing as early as possible to maximize the amount of years that you have for compounding your investment growth. Now, that's not to say that if you're 35, 40 years old right now, it's not worth it to start investing as of right now. Of course it is. However, just trying to invest as early as possible is going to be really important in maximizing long-term financial growth. And by the way, based on macroeconomic data, we're most likely entering into a recession over the next 12 to 24 months. Now, right now we're seeing the broad stock market down 20-30% depending on the index, right? The S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, and so forth. This is the time to actually take advantage of lowering your cost basis and buying in while the value of these assets are depleted. Many retail investors have a hard time wrapping their heads around this, especially because they might be new to the market and haven't been invested in the market for a long enough period of time to go through a couple of cycles. But this is completely normal and should actually be a moment to take advantage of lowering your cost basis and dollar cost averaging into these assets at a lower price point for taking advantage of higher long-term growth. Now, realistically, saving and investing 30% of your income might seem somewhat unrealistic, especially if you're in your 20s right now and your income is most likely flush with your expenses on a month-to-month basis. But as I was saying earlier, as you continue focusing on increasing the number of income sources, but also increasing the income per source, over time, having a savings rate of 30% when you're keeping your expenses and liabilities in check while increasing your income exponentially, hopefully, this is something that absolutely becomes realistic. Again, money is a lot more about mindset than most people realize. Bottom line, start getting into the habit today. Don't wait until you're 30 if you're 26 right now. Get into the habit today of checking your financial progress. And that includes all of your income, your expenses, your liabilities, your pension, your credit score, everything that has to do with your personal finances. Get into the habit of making this a routine where on a weekly or monthly basis, you're checking up on things. Hey, speaking about learning to invest and actually taking the time to invest while you're young and before the age of 30, this is made super easy with today's video sponsor, Wealthsimple, that has a full suite of products and services to help you achieve your financial goals. Wealthsimple Trade is Canada's zero commission mobile stock brokerage that allows you to trade Canadian stocks and ETFs completely commission free. They have thousands of companies to trade and have recently introduced some brand new features like fractional trading as well as USD accounts to give investors even more flexibility. Now, if you're more interested in a passive set and forget approach to investing, then Wealthsimple Invest might be your best bet, as it's a robo trading platform that creates a portfolio of low-cost exchange-traded funds on your behalf based on your investor profile and risk tolerances. I personally have my Lyra as well as a portion of my RRSP with Wealthsimple Invest. And finally, Wealthsimple's most recent edition, Wealthsimple Crypto, allows users to buy and sell over 30 different cryptocurrencies with as little as only $1. And they recently just launched wallets allowing you to send and receive your favorite cryptos for maximum flexibility. So if you're ready to start investing in your own financial future, make sure you use the top link down below in my description to get 3 free stocks when you open up a Wealthsimple trade account, each valued up to $4,500 a piece. Thanks again to Wealthsimple for sponsoring that portion of today's video. It's truly through opportunities like these that I can continue making content for all of you to enjoy. Let's get back to the video now and speak about goal number 4 to hit before the age of 30, and that would be to acquire your first property, whether or not that be a home to live in or an investment property, and ideally both if possible. If you follow my channel, then you would know I'm a huge fan of property ownership, both for primary residences, but then also for strict investment purposes, because this allows you to take advantage of cash flows, debt pay down, appreciation, and a whole bunch of other awesome advantages. I mentioned this before on the channel, but property ownership is one of the main contributing factors to generational wealth, but then also the ability to get out of the race to the bottom when you're a perpetual renter. The problem with renting forever is really twofold. First, you never end up building any equity because you're buying your landlord assets, and instead of taking advantage of the increased value over time of the building that you're living in the first place, well, instead of that, you're actually going to be paying more rent over time as rental prices increase year over year. In fact, here's a chart showing the rental price index in Canada between 2001 and 2021, where 2015 is the base year. All right. And on this chart, we can see that in this time, rent has increased roughly 30%. And in parallel to this, here's a chart of the price of homes having increased from 2005 to 2018. So that's even before the massive skyrocketing increase in price points that we've seen in homes in Canada between 2020 and roughly right now. Second, renters typically, and not always, but typically find themselves in a scarcity mindset where they end up budgeting everything on a month-to-month basis, which ends up having rippling effects on other aspects of their lives as well as their finances. In fact, according to the American Federal Reserve, in 2019, the median net worth of a homeowner was $255,000, while the median net worth of a renter was only around $6,000. Obviously, that's a huge disparity and gap between the homeowner and the renter, and that is most likely because not only due to equity and appreciation over time, but it's also due to other aspects of being a renter in the first place and having a different mindset towards things. Here's another interesting piece of data about this. So on average, millennials will have spent more than $90,000 on rent before they reach the age of 30. And realistically, depending on which city you live in and the cost of living in each one of those cities, this could far exceed $90,000, right? If your monthly rental payments are $2,000-$3,000 over the course of 5 years, you're looking at hundreds of thousands of dollars. And finally, if you've been following my channel for a while, you've most likely seen this chart right here, but I just really like it because whenever people ask me, Griffin, why would I want to be a homeowner? I don't want to be tied down. That's kind of a mindset that a lot of millennials and younger people have. They'd rather rent, but not understanding the full implications of this is major in terms of long-term financial success. So looking at this right here, most individuals watching this video probably don't have a net worth that exceeds $1 million, at least not including any equity in any buildings. And as we can see here, well, the breakdown of the assets that constitute the $1 million net worth or less is highly concentrated in the primary residence. And that's really because of the forced savings mechanism of having mortgage payments over time, where people are forced to make those mortgage payments and are going to be holding onto a property that's also appreciating over time. And finally, let's speak about money goal number 5 here. And realistically, there could have been a heck of a lot more goals to reach before the age of 30, but these are more generalized ideas that hopefully will spark some ideas for you that you can apply in your own personal finances. In this case, I chose to include the idea of better understanding how your personal income taxes work. And I know what you're probably thinking, income taxes suck, and I want to think about that as little as possible, maybe for a week in the month of April. And that's fine, but if you're interested in personal finance, well, having a good understanding of how personal income taxes work can actually account for tens or even hundreds of thousands of dollars of extra investment income and net worth over the course of 20, 30 years, right? If you're able to actually have a strategy in regards to your personal income taxes and you're saving maybe a couple hundred, maybe even a couple thousand of dollars each and every year during your career, those amounts can be put to better use and invested, which again, over a couple of decades can represent potentially tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars of extra capital in your investment portfolio. The thing is, unfortunately, most people operate like this. Income comes in, they pay their expenses, and they might save and invest what's left over if they don't end up spending that on drinks at the bar and entertainment, unfortunately. So in this light, income tax strategy is pretty much non-existent, and this might even be one of the first times that you ever even think about this or consider it. So at the end of the year, typically most people have a defensive strategy here where it's just like, oh gosh, I need to actually pay my income tax. I'm just going to go into TurboTax or Wealthsimple Tax and input all the information and pay whatever I'm due. But actually having a proper strategy that's relevant to your employment, your assets, your liabilities, and so forth can again end up saving you hundreds or thousands of dollars. That being said, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a CPA, so what I would recommend is get a better understanding of how certain aspects of income tax work just online, right? Watching YouTube videos, reading books or whatnot, and then actually consult with a professional who can try to help better craft a strategy that's going to be suitable for you. But some other things to consider, maybe look into fully utilizing your investment, your registered investment account. So in Canada, we're looking at the RRSP, the TFSA. In the United States, we're looking at 401ks, IRA, Roth IRA. Utilizing these are straight off the bat going to help save a couple $1,000s potentially each and every year depending on your income, and also allow you to grow your investments over time with certain tax sheltering characteristics. So the bottom line here is that by 30 years old, you've probably been in your career for 5 to 10 years and you're most likely striving to create substantial amounts of income. And so having a proper tax strategy involved in your personal finances is just really an important step in actually having a global and proper strategy for your needs. Make sure to comment down below any other money goals that you're personally setting for yourself before the age of 30, or really just any age. I'd love to know. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to drop a like. It really helps my channel out. You know what to do. Subscribe, hit the bell if you want to be notified of new and upcoming personal finance, investing, and real estate videos, right? I'm looking to start posting 2 to 3 times per week, so make sure to stay tuned for all that content. Thanks again to Wealthsimple for sponsoring today's video. If you want to check them out, top link down below in the description. I'd also encourage you to check out the other link down below to the full stock market investing course that you can check out completely for free on Skillshare on a 30-day trial. With that said, thanks a lot for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one.